Hi everybody, happy Saturday evening live tutorial stream. Hope everyone had a fantastic Saturday. We had a busy Saturday here at the Beading Dreams. At the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, it was kind of like, woo, people, where are you people? I think all the people were in Colorado, but we had a nice busy day today and we're looking forward to a fun stream and sale tonight. We are kicking off our Martini Month tonight on our sales stream, so we will be doing the Jean Harlow cocktail, which is basically a rum martini, so that's going to be our drink for this evening. So if you're planning on tuning in for the sale, that recipe is up on Discord, and I also did post it on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. But of course, before we get to have sip shopping and shenanigans, we get to have a project, and that is these earrings. Which are going to be really fun. So these are, I'm calling them pearl vine earrings. It's all the same technique. This type of jewelry where, you know, you put the beads on the wire and you twist it. We've done this before in at least a couple of different sort of iterations on stream. And so hopefully once you do the class tonight or watch the class tonight, you'll start to see this popping up here and there. And it's all basically the same technique. It's just a question of, you know, how do you take all those parts and pieces and assemble them together? So let's talk tools and supplies for this evening's tutorial. You're going to need beads, and so I just have oh, that's not even close to being the frame that I wanted. So beads, I have a very, very bright handful of freshwater pearls, and promise they don't actually glow. My camera just really doesn't need to know what to do with my white skin and white pearls. But it's about 36 beads total on the earring, and that is including these two larger accent beads at the bottom. For those, I'm going to actually use tonight some rose quartz drops that I have. And all of these beads are center drilled. Okay, so this doesn't work as well with teardrops. These all have a hole through the center. I've got some 26 gauge wire. That's what I'm going to use to actually make my vine, and I'm using gold filled tonight. And then I have some 18 gauge wire. That's what I'm going to use to make my frame. And of course, you can't have earrings without a pair of ear wires. Oh, actually looks kind of cool when you set them like that. Hey Tony! Happy Saturday and welcome to the stream. Alright, so two ear wires, since most of us come equipped with 2 ears. As far as tools go, you're just going to need your basics. That's going to be a wire cutter, chain nose pliers, round nose pliers. You're going to need some kind of cylindrical object to bend your wire around to make your frame, so I'm just using a ring stick. You could also use a dowel. Anything that's about 1 inch, 1.25 inches in diameter is going to work great for you. I'm going to try hammering these. I did not hammer my prototype, and I will say that I found the frame a little bit, it was difficult to get it to hold its shape while I was putting this together, so I'm going to try hammering tonight, which means that I am going to use a chasing hammer and my bench block. And if you don't have a bench block, you just need something that is sturdy and dense upon which to hammer, preferably not your spouse or significant other. You actually need an object. So we had a lot of interesting bench block equivalents that happened during quarantine when we were all locked down last year. I think the most ingenious one was a barbell. Weights make a really good substitute for a bench block, especially if they're flat on the end. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting myself some wire. So I'm just going to cut all the wire for both earrings just right off the bat. So I'm going to use a foot of my 18 gauge, and that's going to get cut into 2 6-inch pieces because, once again, 2 earrings. Of course, my wire cutter's on the bottom of the stack. All right, so 6 inches and 6 inches, and that's going to be for the frame of the earring. If you don't want as big of an earring, you can use less wire. You can make a smaller frame. Also, Lori, I don't know if you saw, but I did post up the photos that you requested in Discord, the inspiration photo from last night's freeform, and then my finished product as well. Then I'm going to cut my 26 gauge. You need 6 feet of your 26 gauge. That's 2 3-foot pieces. I know that sounds like a lot, but this project takes a lot of wire between the folding and the twisting and everything. And once again, this is one of those where it's better to have too much wire than not enough. So 2 3-foot pieces of my 26 gauge. And again, this is 26 gauge gold filled that I'm using tonight, but You don't have to use gold filled since this is a cold class, meaning that there is no soldering involved. You can really use any wire that you happen to have lying around. So that's going to be sterling silver, gold filled, brass, bronze, copper, craft wire, colored wire, whatever you've got lying around is good for this project. So I'm actually going to start by making my vines. So in this project, the way that I did it, the way that I thought was the most efficient, is I actually made my vines first, and then made my frame, and then wrapped my vine onto my frame. So I'm actually going to start with my vine. So the way my vine is I've got basically a triplet here in the center, and then 7 beads on either side. Now, when I was making my prototype, I finished and I was like, oh, these look strange. That's because I only put 6 beads on one side of one of my prototypes. I had to kind of tack on another extra bead. So what I'm going to do to prevent that happening is the first thing I'm going to do before I start is I'm going to lay out on my work surface all the beads that I need. So 7 on that side, 7 on this side. And you can scale this earring up, you can scale it down. I don't know that anybody's going to really want to scale it up except for Amy, because it's a fairly large earring already, but you can definitely scale it down. You can use smaller pearls, you can use fewer pearls, and have a more dainty earring. The size of pearls I'm using is pretty hefty. These are a solid, like a 6 to 7 millimeter pearl. Okay, so I'm going to set one of my 3-foot pieces of 26 gauge aside. I'm just going to put it on my camera for safekeeping. Hopefully it will stay there whilst I am, right? Seriously. All right, so now I'm going to start with my triplet that's at the bottom, and if it continues to be too bright, I'll turn down my exposure. So I'm going to start in the middle and work outwards. That way I'm sure that my design is centered on my wire, and I have equal amounts of wire left on either side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rose quartz, and this is just my bottom accent bead. So it doesn't have to be different. It can be the same as all the rest of your beads, but I decided that we have these pretty rose quartz teardrops, and I wanted to use them. So there we go. So you're going to pull that to about the middle of your wire, and then you're just going to fold your wire around your bead. So you're just going to fold your wire so that it goes up the back of your bead, and then firmly hold these 2 wires about 1/4 of an inch away from your bead, and then you're going to hold like the Dickens. Yes, that's a technical term. And you're going to twist. And you're just going to twist until you filled up that whole area with twist. Now, don't twist too much, because if you twist too much, you're actually just going to break your wire off, and that is not what you want in this instance. You ideally want to do this whole thing with a continuous piece of wire. So just twist until you've got a fairly tight twist that spans that whole area between the top of your bead and where you were pinching. What did I do? Twist that like 4 or 5 times maybe. So just don't go overboard on the twisting. Now I'm going to do the 2 beads on either side. So I'm just going to pick a side, and I'm going to thread. So now I'm onto my pearls. So the only one that I'm doing with the rose quartz on this project is going to be my centerpiece bead. So I've got my pearl on here. Now what I want to do is I'm going to hold this pearl about, it's like 3/8 of an inch away from this. You can play around with the distances on this. I find that the closer together they are, the fuller it looks, but the less facility you have for shaping. So 3/8 is a good length for me. If you think that's too wide, you can go down to 1/4 of an inch. So you just hold that pearl in place then, and once again, fold your wire down around the back of your pearl, pinch where all of those wires come together, and twist. And once again, don't twist too much, so 3, 4, 5 maybe. Bingo. And so this middle section, you want all of your beads to kind of be coming together at a central point. As we start making the rest of the vine, we're going to start spreading it out a bit more. So now I need to go to the other side. grab a pearl. Here you are, running away from me. Hey, Aso, happy Saturday! Hope everybody had a good Saturday. It was hot AF here in Dallas. Not surprising because we're in Dallas, so you know that's something that's predictable. I was really excited because the forecast for tomorrow, for a very brief period of time, showed a high of like 83. And then it went back up into the 90s. Alright, so once again, hold that about 3/8 of an inch away from your central point. Bend that wire around, like so. Pinch it all at that central point, and once again, twist it. So this is what I call the crystal vine technique. I don't know that it has a proper name. Honestly, I've always just called it crystal vine, but once again, this is something that you see a lot, especially if you're looking at bridal jewelry and tiaras and things and hair combs. They use this technique a lot, so it's a fun one to know for things like that. Okay, so this is my little centerpiece. Now we're going to start adding the pearls up the sides. And so I'm actually going to make, well, I'm not going to make that. Really? There we go. Alright, so I'm actually going to make a vine going out to either side that has the pearls just kind of, you know, poking up at intervals, kind of like, you know, little daisies in a computer program. And then we're going to wrap that onto our frame once we've created our frame. So now I'm going up my side. So I should wind up with 7 pearls on each side. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm confused. I have, oh, they're right there. Never mind, not confused anymore. It's the end of my work week. That's all I have to say for myself in that. Okay, so we have a pearl. I'm going to put it on my wire. Now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it further away from this central point because I want to create a little sprout with that bead, but I want that sprout to be separated from this little central grouping here. So I'm going to do about 1/4 of an inch for my separation and then about another 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch from my sprout. So what does that give me? That gives me about 1/2 an inch to 5/8 of an inch or so of distance from here to here. I'm going to fold that wire again behind my pearl, and I'm not going to pinch back here at my central point because if you make them all coming straight out of that central point, you don't get any travel. So I'm going to just take my pinching fingers and I'm going to move them up about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to pinch the dickens out of it and I'm going to twist it. And ideally, what's going to happen here is you're going to wind up with, if you pull that wire out to the side, you're going to wind up with this here, which I call a sprout. So now we're going to make 7 sprouts. I am fairly equidistant down that wire. So again, to make each sprout, you're going to just thread your wire, not thread your wire onto your pearl. Reverse that, thread your pearl onto your wire. We want to try and keep the spacing fairly consistent, so I've got my 1/4 of an inch for my travel and then my 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch for the actual length of my sprout. I'm going to take that wire, fold it behind my pearl. Again, don't pinch back here by this previous sprout. Go up about 1/4 of an inch because that's your travel room, and then twist. And ta-da! 2 sprouts in our garden. So now we just continue this all the way up this side, putting on all 7 of our beads. Then I'm going to do the other side. So once you've got your center centered on your wire, then you can go to just sort of going in a line because you've already established that midpoint. And if your sprouts are not identical, that's okay. You know, you want to try and make them fairly uniform, but if they're not perfect, trust me, once you have it wrapped on your frame, no one's ever going to notice. So now we've reached the point of the project where it's a little bit repetitive. So I'm just going to make both of my vine pieces while I am talking to you all. So let's see, like I said, it is our Sip Shopping and Shenanigans sale tonight. That means we do have our signature cocktail, which is our Jean Harlow, and we will be sipping. We are going to be doing a lot of loose beads tonight. I went on a bit of a tear of strands that have been sitting around here in the shop for a while, and by I mean Amy, cut them all up and price them all nicely. So we have individual beads, so we've got some things that are going to make awesome centerpieces and accent pieces for you guys tonight. Hopefully maybe some things that you've been coveting but didn't want a whole strand of are now going to be on the chopping block just for you guys. So it's going to be a fun sale tonight with all the individual beads. Plus I have some cool strands. I've got the remains of my strands from Wednesday that are old stock that have been sitting around for a while that I've decided to wave in front of everyone's face again to tempt you all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is my whole vine right here, my whole half of a vine, like so. Now I'm going to do the other side. And then I also have some other just random strands. I opened a box today in my stuff and went, oh, I thought we were supposed to go out for sale. Amy's charging a service fee. No, seriously, today, such props to Amy, because of course I decided that I was going to do this giant cutting project when we were slow. Like I said, we had a slow earlier day this Saturday, and then it got busy at the end. And of course I pull all of these strands from the case. I make this giant pile of mess on the table, and then we get completely slammed with customers. And so
Amy walks in.
And so I'm totally starting to panic, like, oh my God, why did I decide to do this for the sale? Like, why did I make this huge mess? Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this done. And just as I'm absolutely starting to completely freak out, Amy walks in the door to save the day. Yay! And since Heather is in the Woodlands tonight, she will be working remote from there, but the part of in-store Heather will be played at least a little bit by Amy this evening during the sale as well, until she has to leave. So we're so happy to have an Amy.
Big ass charge.
Big ass charge. I guess that depends. I mean, if you want to be a big ass about something, then we'll have a big ass charge. Also, I should pay attention to what I'm doing, and so that I do it right. So the easiest way to do this is to position your bead and then flip your wire down the back, which is what I said. It's not necessarily what I've been doing, but it really is the best way to do this and maintain consistent spacing. All right, so that's 4, 5. Caffeine, very importante. It's true. No one can learn all the ways of the Heather, but I'm pretty sure Amy's going to be an awesome pseudo Heather.
I'm gonna try.
She doesn't have the Codex. Heather took the Codex with her to the Woodlands.
What's that?
The notebook. Yes, the notebook in which all of the live sale stuff is recorded, which, God help us, if anything were ever to happen to the current notebook, like, we would not know what to do. 3, 4, 5, 2 more, 7. The magical book, yeah, and we're on, I think Heather and I figured it out, we're on Codex the 6th for sales.
After a year?
Yeah,
Not bad.
How many?
6 notebooks.
Yeah.
2, 4, 1 more. I realize the number hasn't changed, but you know, sometimes you just have to double count and triple count and quadruple count, especially when it's Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so this is my last one for this vine. Okay, so this is what your vine should look like at this point. Okay, so it's looks like kind of a crazy daisy garden at the moment with your 3 in the center. So I'm going to take this one crazy daisy garden, I'm going to set it aside, I'm going to grab my other wire that was sitting on my camera, and I'm going to start again because, of course, with earrings, there are 2 of them. Unless you decide that this is way too much work and want to make it a pendant instead. So I've got my rose quartz drop on there. I folded my wire up. I'm just going to pinch, twist. Now, does this have to be identical to your first one? It doesn't. Should it be sort of similar? It should. Otherwise, you're going to wind up with some, completely wackadoo looking earrings. So this is now the center pearl. So I picked the pearls that are going in the center are just a little bit smaller than the ones for the rest of the earring. So I've got my pearl on there. I've got about 3/8 of an inch or so away from where these 2 wires split because this is my center trio. So I want them all 3 kind of coming out from the same place. I'm going to flip my wire behind my pearl like so. I'm going to grab right at that central point and then I'm just going to twist. So this one I'm going to twist all the way up to this point. And then I'm going to do the same thing on my other side. So about 3 inches away, flip down. Amy's wearing her pretty Pico hoop earrings that she made the other day. They're so pretty.
Thank you. Great suggestion.
Well, thanks. And I'm actually wearing the earrings that I made on stream yesterday, our freeform
You can show them if you
earrings.
want.
I will, because I actually love what you did. So those were my earrings that I wore on stream, that I made on stream yesterday. So I am wearing those today because they're pretty colors. But yeah, so Amy did the Pico earrings. And she used 2 millimeter, and she used a color gradiated strand of 2 millimeter spinel, which turned out really cool because you've got all that color gradation that appears in your earring. But she, since the beads were so bitty, she did 5 instead of 3 on the swag, and it looks really party. So good job, Smee.
Thanks.
Okay.
They're very lightweight.
And in the summer, lightweight, it's nice to be able to have big ass earrings that are still lightweight, because in the summer in Dallas, like, nothing heavy.
Even remotely indicating a coat.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Thanks.
nothing with weight to it on any part of oneself, preferably. Okay, so now I'm starting to make my little daisy garden. So I've got my pearl on there. I'm about 5/8 of an inch away from this central point here. I'm going to flip that down the back of my pearl. I'm going to pinch and I'm going to twist. And so don't forget, now that we're starting to make the side bits, that we need that travel. So you should be able to pull that out and have bare wire here. So now we're going to repeat on this wire exactly what we did with the other wire. We're going to make our 7 little crazy daisy bits on each side. So let's see. I don't know if there's any other news from the Beading Dreams stream at the moment. Individual beads, very excited about that. Strands of beads that I forgot I owned, excited about that. My work week being over, I'm excited about that as well, because it has been a bit of a long one for sure.
A trip to the dentist, excited about that.
I don't think you're excited about that trip to the dentist, Amy, but good job trying to fool yourself. Yes, poor Amy had a dental appointment today.
Talking about being a dental chicken.
Who else? I'm a dental chicken too. Who else is a dental chicken?
Yep.
Raise your hands.
Carol is.
Carol is. Oh, and I used to, when I was young, like, and not even like young, but like preteen, I have really sensitive gums, and I used to hate going to the dentist because I would hate when they would scrape, and I would just walk out of there with my gums bleeding. And so I was raising his hand, rock and roll. Dental chickens of the world, unite! And my mom would tell me, and then I would, and I would say, it hurts. I don't like this. I don't this is bad. Makes me unhappy. And my mom would just say, get over it. You're lying. It doesn't hurt at all, because it didn't hurt her at all. So, I was indoctrinated into dental chickenhood from an early-ish age.
You put me in a headlock.
Whoa! I never had that. Oh my gosh, so my orthodontist, when I had my braces, he had this horrible thing that held your mouth open that he called Mr. Cheeky, and it was just the most uncomfortable, awful, hard plastic thing, and it would always dig into, like, my gums and the back of my cheek. Oh, I hated that thing.
They put rubber blocks in mine, and
Yeah.
hated it.
No, yeah, no. Yeah, I know. That's the crappy thing about being an adult, is eventually all that stuff comes back to bite you.
PTSD.
Right? That too. I wasn't even talking about PTSD from your dentist putting you in a headlock. I was talking about...
I thought you meant that.
No, I was talking about, you become an adult, a 20-something, and I feel like it was a somewhat normal 20-something. You're like, and just like Aso said, like, okay, no more braces. I've got, cleaning. Everything's good. I can, ignore the dentist for the next, 15 years of my life, and it'll be fine. Absolutely fine. Well, then, of course, you go to the dentist finally, because you're like, oh, crap, it's been 10 years since I went to the dentist. And they're like, oh, well, guess what? Have 17 fillings, 2 root canals, and a crown. That was maybe more for comedic value, but seriously. Yeah, so I need to go to back. Don't want to. Also, not a fun expenditure of money. Like, I would really rather buy a new pair of shoes or some beads than...
Or cool sunglasses.
Cool. I think I would rather buy almost anything
Big ass earrings.
than dental care. Big ass earrings, like, seriously. I had a medical procedure a couple of years ago, and the doctor who performed it is hilarious, and I love her. And it was just a local anesthetic procedure, so I didn't go under, but before I, like, laid down on the table, I was like, just so you know, I'd really rather be spending this money on shoes. And she laughed her ass off, and then she said, lay down. And that was the end of that story. But yeah, so not fun. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Toothless is a trend. Well, see, we can just make beaded grills for ourselves, right? That's what we're gonna do.
I mean, if mullets are coming back, we might as well be toothless.
Fair.
Yeah.
Mullets?
Yeah. They've been back for a little bit. They're really sexy.
Are you sure about that?
They weren't back then.
Did somebody pay Billy Ray Cyrus to do, like, a promo for that or something? I don't know. He's the most famous mullet that I remember. And what was, from my, like, younger school days, was not just mullets, but mullets with, like, the rat tail, like,
That's
the
what I was
one.
thinking about, the rat.
Yes. Oh, I was never on board with that trend.
Oh, Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt and his fireworks rant is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, so I've got 2, 4, 6, so one more and I'll be done. Also, hashtag spoiler alert, this is it's probably gonna be a fun stream tonight because I have a strand of yak bone for sale, and Robin was already here today and could not stop saying yak bone. She bought half of the strand of yak bone, so yeah, there's gonna be yak bones on the stream tonight. Just I don't know if that's a warning or a promise. You all can decide. You may want to steer clear of the yak bone stream, but knowing all of you guys who are out there, probably not. It's going to be a good time for sure. Okay, so now I'm gonna make my frames. So I'm gonna grab my ring stick and my 18 gauge wire, and I'm gonna find about the middle of my wire. I'm just gonna put it on the biggest part of my ring stick, and I'm gonna bend it. Wow, look how good I was at finding the middle. That's amazingly talented. Aren't I fabulous, everybody? Don't do it like that. No, find the actual middle.
It was close.
It was not. It was not even close. Okay, so I'm going to make a teardrop shape. I'm going to repeat with my other one. There, see, look. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's close. What I did before was the opposite of close. It's like, what was that? That did like near, far, near, far. Was that Sesame Street?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's really not applicable. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now I have my two frames, my two teardrop shapes. They should be approximately the same size, which they're kind of not. So let me fix that. All right. So now I'm going to, good from far, but far from good, touche. Now I'm going to take my hammer and my bench hook, and I'm just going to hammer the bottom curvature of this. It's going to get loud for a minute, so if you want to mute me, now's the time. So when I'm hammering, notice that I'm holding that intersection with my finger. That's going to keep it from just completely springing up and getting giant on me. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. True story. How often have I been that thing that just doesn't belong? All right. So I'm not going to close these yet because it's going to be a lot easier for me to wrap my vines on them if I can get through this opening here rather than trying to thread all of this business like just straight through the whole of my frame. Okay, so now it's time to start putting this together. So I'm going to take my frame, I'm going to find the center bottom, which is there. I'm going to take my vine, and I'm going to set that on my center bottom. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm just going to start taking my vine and coiling it. And see, this is why it's good to have that space. I'm going to just start wrapping it around my frame. So I just want to, open that up a bit so that I can get that through there. Trust me, it's exponentially easier than trying to shove all this through the middle. Even though I'm not doing a great job of making it look easy, I promise it's easier. So I'm just going to start wrapping my little vine around my frame, and as that happens, my little sprouts are going to start just kind of sticking out from the frame like this. And don't worry too much if they look completely dorky and derpy at this point. It's okay. We are going to artistically arrange them in a minute. But right now, we just want to connect them. So just keep wrapping around your frame. And it's a bit awkward. Again, just like me, it's okay. You can get through it. Just keep going. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. If you just keep going, maybe no one will notice. Maybe no one will notice how incredibly awkward you are. Actually, that technique works better than you might think. Just from years of teaching, teaching dance, teaching beading, teaching lots of things, like fake it till you make it really is a thing. Like, whatever it is, as long as you say it with confidence, people are going to assume you know what you're talking about. Just ask any man. Sorry, that was a bit of a soapbox moment there.
Love those moments.
Okay, so now I have, like, once again, derpy, dorky, like, this looks horrifying. It's okay. I promise we're going to fix it. Now we're going to do the other side. So I'm just going to start wrapping that on. See, Aso got my joke.
I got it. It was funny.
so I'm just coiling them, I'm not making a whole lot of effort to make my coils completely close together, because if I had wanted to do that, I would have had to space these way further apart. So I'm just sort of coiling them on as they sort of want to fall. Notice now my shape has gotten really distorted. That's okay. I promise we're going to fix it all. It's true, Ace. Also get points because you laughed at my joke. So just keep wrapping it around. And I'm not going to close this yet because I'm going to do my other one. I may need to do a little bit of adjusting just to make sure they look similar. Okay, so now this is my completely batshit at the moment earring. Okay, like, yes, this is absolutely wild and insane. It doesn't really look like anything that you would want to put in your ear, I promise. It's going to get better, but first, I'm going to do the other one. Yes, I'm glad that soapbox moments haven't scared Ace away from the stream, because I do definitely have them for sure. Okay, so now I'm going to wrap this on. So once again, bottom, pinch, and then just start wrapping. Or not. Go, get, come on camera, behave. One thing you do want to just make sure is that you let your sprouts stick out. Don't get them wrapped underneath as you continue to wrap, because that's going to make it really hard to position them and spread them out. Well, hooray.
Are you doing one wrap in between?
I'm doing... Okay, so now I'm going to, because Amy asked a question, I'm going to fess up that I actually... The second vine that I made was longer than the first vine that I made. So on the second vine that I made, it's actually like 2 wraps in between. Like I said, I was talking to the internet. I wasn't paying attention. I'm trying to make this one look similar, but this is only 1 wrap in between because I put these closer together.
Okay.
So, reasons one should possibly occasionally use a ruler, so I've been told. I've heard this rumor. I don't know if it's actually fact or not. You might want to Snopes it. But yeah, so on this one that I'm working on now, it's about 1 wrap in between. But on the one I just did, it was definitely 2. And I am wrapping the second side the opposite way, coiling the opposite way from the first side. That's not really necessary. It just is what I do. It just feels good to me, but it's not. It really doesn't matter one way or the other. Smacking your camera, of course, is part of the process, always on the Beading Dream stream. Alright, and so I'm going to end each of these with like 3 or 4 wraps just to anchor it off. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so nice and close together. I'm gonna check these and just make sure that they're similar before I cut things off, but at this point I really don't have much of a recourse if they're not the same. I'm gonna need to figure out some way to fix that. Probably taking them apart and redoing them, which is not going to happen on stream. But I've got my wrap offs there and there. Okay, yay! I successfully fudged it. So even though even though this vine was a lot longer than this one, I managed to make it so they both go about the same. Level up my frames, which is what I was going for. I already wrapped that one off, so I'm going to just go to this last piece of wire and I'm going to wrap it off about 5 times. 3, 4. Also, yay for ASO finding the feminist soapbox rants informational. Woo! You may stay. Not that there was ever a question of that. Alright, now I'm going to finally trim off my wires because I've determined that everything is, in fact, as even as it's going to be. Once I've trimmed off those wires, you are going to have a pokey, stabby You can see it right there, so grab a chain nose and just press that down. And I'm going to do the same on the other one. And then I can close up my frames. So cut your wires and press down your pokey stabbies. Down. Okay, ta-da! All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to close up these frames. So closing up the frames is pretty easy. I'm just going to squeeze them and squeeze them ends. That's a terrible grammar. Squeeze the ends. Now, I've come a bit uncentered on this. That's totally fine. I'm going to take the shorter end and I'm just going to grab it with my round nose pliers and I'm going to curl it around to make a little hook that's hooking around my long end, and press down like so. And then I'm going to do the other one because I want to make sure that they're similarly sized. Okay, there we go. So on this one, I don't have a short one and a long one, so I'm just going to pick one. And again, I'm going to curl it over. Now, since I stayed more centered on this is way more wire than I need here, so I'm just going to snip this off. You only need like 1/8 of an inch or so on that hook, and then I'm just going to squeeze it closed. Maybe? Okay. All right. Okay, so now we have 2 hooks, and then we're just going to take these and we're going to bend them into a loop. So just grab at the end of that wire with your round nose, and you're just going to brace it against your finger as best you can. It's a little awkward. You're just going to roll over a loop. Again, this one's a little longer than I need, so I'm just going to nip just a tiny bit off of there and grab, roll. So when I'm rolling here, what I'm doing in slow-mo is I am rolling a little bit and then loosening my pliers, rotating back, grabbing again, and then just continuing those baby steps until my loop is closed. That's because your wrist only bends so far, and once it reaches the place where it won't bend anymore, you gotta do something. Now I can finally take these really derpy looking sprouts and I can arrange them artistically. So if we want it to look kind of like my prototype, we're going to take most of them and we're going to put them going up. So it's kind of like, you know, a little trellisy vine that's crawling up my earring. And some of them are going to kind of go to the inside and some are going to go to the outside. Right, like so. And then I'm going to take my little centers. I think I'm going to flip them over once more just because they're looking a little bit long and kind of straggly there. So don't forget that you don't want your center to look naked and bare, so you might need to kind of push some of those center ones, back in. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So see, difference. Artistically arranged, derpy and wild. There's nothing wrong with derpy and wild, it's just not so much the look for this particular project. I mean, wild, yes, it is supposed to look organic. It's supposed to look, like a vine, like a natural, thing. But there's natural, and then there's, oh my God, somebody get the weed whacker. We're going for number 1. We're going for natural and pretty, not, oh my God, somebody get the weed whacker, because I think one of these plants is about to start talking to me. Sorry, one of my not college friends, high school friends, works for Royal Caribbean, and he is working right now on setting Little Shop of Horrors on one of their ships. So he's been posting Little Shop of Horrors things, which is why it's on my mind. Okay, so there is, so once again, it's supposed to look organic. It's not supposed to look perfect, but you definitely want to, just kind of minimize the derp factor there. And if I wanted to, I could even, take a couple of beads and I could do a little just kind of a coiled wrap here with a couple more pearls on there if I wanted to sort of hide that space. So once again, second earring. Let's underpify it, shall we? Let's try. So I'm really, there's no formula, there's no method to what I'm doing now. I'm just taking the wire bits and I'm pushing them into a space where they look good. And if I could make a formula for that, I would, but it's really beyond my capabilities. So just go with your instincts. And Derpify needs a button. It does, it's true. So yeah, so I'm just underpifying it. Making it look pretty. Organic, but once again in the semi-wild cottage garden way and not the I hear banjos kind of way. Sorry, apparently I'm just full of them tonight. Okay, so these are my 2 earrings. So you can definitely play with this a lot. You can make more vine, you can make less vine, you can spread your vine out farther apart. There's a lot of ways to play around with this design. But the last thing I need to do, of course, in order to make these into functional earrings is I need to add my ear wires, the easiest part of this process. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers. Apparently I'm going to hit my camera with it first. And I'm just going to grab my ear wire right next to the joint. By the joint, I mean the opening. I'm going to twist it open. Remember, we don't ever want to fold our ear wire out flat. We want to keep it in a circular shape. Just open it enough to put your component on, and then we're going to grab that and we're going to close it back like so. And we're going to do that with the second one. Grab, twist, drop your component on, close, and there we go. Voila! Pearl vine earrings, very overexposed. Sorry about that. Also, if you don't, this piece of wire wound up on the front of my earring, so I'm just going to rotate that to the back. And that's another thing, is if you want to tighten this up just a little bit, you can give that bead a couple more rotations. Just see how that pulled it up a solid 1/16 of an inch. Just be wary, because the more you twist your wire, the more likely it is that you're going to accidentally break it off. So just be judicious with your twisting. But I do think that looks a little bit better having that up a little closer to my frame. Thanks, Lori. All right, so that's it for the tutorial stream. We did it, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with us and making our pearl vine earrings. These are awesome. They are definitely big, but once again, you could scale them down. Also, if there's a wedding or a special event in your future, they are fabulous. You also don't have to do them with pearls. Any center drilled beads will work. And also, I'm going to point out one more thing before I get my booty off of this stream and get ready for my next one is this one, my prototype, I used more of a rice shape, like more of an elongated type of pearl. The one I did today, I used more of what's called a potato shape, which is more kind of a squatty round pearl. They both look good. They look different. Like, there's definitely a difference in appearance between the long, skinny pearls and the round ones. So that's just something to keep in mind. But really, you can do these with absolutely any bead that you happen to have, as long as you have 36 of them. All right, so for anybody out there who doesn't know me, I'm Allison from Beading Dreams in Dallas, Texas. We are an actual brick and mortar retail bead store. We do have physical premises. We are here on Lovers Lane in Dallas, and we are open for business Monday through Saturday from 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. That means we are here to feed your need to bead 6 days a week in person. If you're not local in Dallas, you can find us on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. 5 times a week with complimentary tutorials. We do stream Wednesday through Saturday. I got it right, guys. Wednesday through Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Time, because we are in Dallas, Texas, with a bonus lunchtime stream on Thursdays at noon, and of course live merchandise. Hi, Fun Mom! You're so welcome! Hope everything is going well for you. It's nice to see you out there. Anyway, so yeah. Live merchandise sales every Wednesday and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. It is Saturday. That means it is a live sale night. It's our Sips Shopping and Shenanigans night, and it's the kickoff for our Martini month. So I'm going to get my booty off this stream. I'm going to close my store. I'm going to grab the merchandise for the sale. I'm going to mix myself a Jean Harlow, and I will be back on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream, in about 30 minutes. That means we're going to be starting our sale about 7:45 tonight to sell you some cool individual beads and strands. If you're not going to make it to the sale, hope you have a wonderful and fabulous weekend, and we'll see you back on Wednesday on this channel, twitch.tv/Beading Dream. We're going to be doing a beaded fringe pendant on Wednesday at 6 p.m. That was per request of one of our newer stream viewers, so you can tune in for that next week. So it's time for me to sign off of this stream. I hope I see each and every one of you for the sale. If I don't, have a great weekend, and don't forget, if you're participating in the sale, get a cocktail, get a snack, get some hydration, get comfy, get cozy, and get ready for some retail therapy in the comfort of your own living room, office, or wherever you're watching the Beading Dreams stream. So everybody get ready for the sale, and I will catch you all in a few.